You know, I was busy on the Friday this came out, so I didn't get to see this until Saturday. So you can say it took me a little while to get to. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about a brand new release, The Little Things, out in both theaters and on HBO Max for the next month. Let me know in the comments before we begin what your thoughts on this movie were, if you already saw it, if you were excited for it, if you weren't planning on seeing it. Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, make sure to give this a thumbs up if you like these reviews, as it helps me out immensely by getting my channel out there and growing the community. And if you are new here, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with reviews of new releases, older films, hidden gems, and so much more on a near daily basis. But now let's not waste any more time and let's talk about The Little Things. This stars Denzel Washington as Deke, a burnt out Kern County deputy sheriff who teams up with an LA detective named Baxter, played by Rami Malek, to nab a serial killer. Deke's nose for the little things proves eerily accurate, but his willingness to circumvent the rules embroils Baxter in a soul-shattering dilemma. This is written and directed by John Lee Hancock, who brought us films like The Blind Side, Saving Mr. Banks, and most recently, The Highwaymen. And it's a crime thriller set in the 90s that's supposed to evoke the feel of those sort of films. I've already heard this compared a lot to Seven, which I'd say is fairly accurate, though you can even say films like The Usual Suspects or The Fugitive have similar vibes to this. So in that sense, this film will feel a bit familiar to many viewers who've seen a lot of these films in terms of style, tone, plot structure, and so on. You have these two detectives with clashing styles, and one has this troubled past that you know is going to play a part at some point in the film, and it has this dark, gritty feel where characters will talk just above a whisper. Though what's funny is you can tell that Hancock also has a background in these more character-based, sometimes sentimental dramas based on how some of these scenes are shot, and I felt there were brief instances where that style clashed with what he was going for here. Like, you get a lot of scenes of Denzel Washington sitting inside empty rooms, whether it's the crime scene itself or something related to it, and he's just deep in thought, and there will be this touching, restrained music playing in the background, and you can tell that Hancock's going really hard for the dramatic effect, which speaks to how the film overall feels, as it's the sort of movie that thinks of itself as deeper than it actually is. It's clearly trying to be this morality tale, which is where a lot of the Seven comparisons come in, because you'll have conversations that are meant to give off more of this philosophical or pseudo-intellectual vibe, and there are these random conversations where characters talk about religious beliefs, or they'll give this cryptic piece of advice, and you'll hear Washington repeatedly talk about the little things like it's supposed to mean something profound. But a lot of it felt like word salad, as the film doesn't actually have as much to say on some of these topics as it lets on. It would just carefully place these certain lines at various points and have the actors deliver them in such a mysterious way so that the style covers for the fact that there wasn't much substance behind what was being said. Part of the film's supposed to deal with obsession and what drives people when they begin to get too involved in something. We find out Washington is someone who gets heavily invested in cases, and Malek is someone who can sometimes emulate that same style, but he's supposed to be more in control. Though they're both very dedicated to their jobs, and this is supposed to provide some insight into the different ways in which they're affected by their jobs. And while the performances were great, with Washington and Malek bringing their A-game as they usually do, I had a difficult time connecting with either of them. While Malek is someone who's dedicated to his work, and he's bent on solving this case, he otherwise came off as emotionally distant. He trails off a lot of the time when he speaks, and there's really not much driving him other than just wanting to solve the case. You do get little tidbits like seeing him at home, and you see that he lives a fairly normal life, but I found him to be an otherwise generic, boring character for most of the film. Now, there was a little more intrigue to Washington's character, and we have the suspicion that there may be more to him than we're being told. We do know he used to work at Malek's precinct, and he knows a lot of the people still working there, and the way they talk to him, they speak pretty cryptically towards one another, so you know something's up. But his arc didn't quite come together in such an impactful way. The film teased things up as if Washington's overly obsessive approach is going to repeatedly cross paths with Malek in some sort of traumatizing way, but there wasn't any conflict as far as that goes other than Malek's colleagues warning him to stay away from Washington. But Washington actually proves to be quite helpful throughout the film, and after some initial sarcastic encounters, they mostly get along amicably. There was little conflict on that end, and it played out more like a standard cop drama with just one of them having an unusual approach. I think had they done something where, say, one crosses the line early on, causing this moral dilemma to hang over both of their heads throughout the film, it would have been a much more intriguing story. And that was kind of the vibe I was getting when just reading the plot synopsis alone. You also have Jared Leto popping up here as the man who's suspected to be the killer, and I actually thought he wasn't bad here. His character is this weird dude, or he's just someone who doesn't give off the right vibes from the moment you lay eyes on him, and I thought he brought out this film's creepier elements. It felt as if he took that really bizarre energy that he brought to the Joker in Suicide Squad and channeled it towards something more believably unsettling. I'm not saying his performance here is like the Joker, I'm just saying that both characters are these strange guys, just in different ways. Though we then get to a big reveal in the last act, which I won't spoil, but it's supposed to be where everything ties together, but it actually felt pretty underwhelming. Similar to how other events and conversations in the film play out, this reveal isn't this earth-shattering revelation. It does make you rethink how you see some of these characters, but it wasn't in the emotionally satisfying way the film intended. I think it makes you just view these characters in a more unfavorable light, and it'll leave a bad taste in your mouth. And without saying what it is exactly, it was a reveal that could have been placed at any point in the movie, and it honestly would have had the same effect. The only impact that it has is that it just gives us a little more insight into a character's mindset, and that's really it. It doesn't change the course of events, or it doesn't change how other characters think in a much more meaningful way, and it felt like it was specifically placed where it was, just for dramatic effect. It actually had me asking for more, but I wouldn't say it was in a good way. This didn't work for me, unfortunately. I had some higher hopes for this, especially as I do enjoy a lot of the films this was trying to emulate with its throwback approach, and it does have a trio of great performances from Washington, Malek, and Leto, but its story never resonated with me in a meaningful sort of way. It has a lot less to say than it leads you to believe. Its characters felt very emotionally distant, and the way in which it resolves everything just makes you view these characters in a much more unfavorable light, rather than the intended effect of blowing your mind. It has a nice style, but it ultimately falls short for me. The Little Things gets a 5.5 out of 10. So let me know, did you see The Little Things, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Did you enjoy these performances? Do you like these sort of throwback crime thrillers this was trying to emulate? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll catch you next time.